Hello, hello. Thank you. Thank you for joining this little discussion, this little monologue that I'm going to have about flock theory. So, some of you are probably wondering, what is it? But you got a good idea. You ever heard of the saying of birds of a feather hang together? Something to that effect. And that makes sense. You know, often you have to ask yourself, well, why do these birds hang together? Why do you have this thing called school of fish, a pride of lion, a pack of wolves? These things, these animals, they flock together for a reason. Often it's because they have things in common. It's safety in numbers. You know, whereas you see the wolves when they're out in the wild, if they have to take on a big 600, 700 pound grizzly bear, they can't do that. Not independently, not one on one, but as a pack, they can survive. So often, you know, humans can be tribal by nature as well. We stick to people that look like us, talk like us, think like us, to share common beliefs and common aspirations. But what happens when you age out of the pack? What happens when your thinking starts to separate? When you start to question things that the people closest to you don't? When you don't adopt all the beliefs that they have? How do you get ahead of the pack? Now, talking about the pack, look at the pigeons. You ever notice how you see pigeons? They're everywhere. Wherever you see them, it's not a pigeon, it's usually dozens and dozens of pigeons. You ever notice that sometimes people even feed the pigeons? I believe that pigeons were actually among the first birds that were ever domesticated. And often these pigeons, people look down at these pigeons. Some people even call these birds rats with wings. So pigeons, rightfully or wrongfully, they tend to have a stigma. And you seldom see pigeons as a symbol of greatness, a symbol of strength. Now let's go to the top of the food chains as we pertain to birds. The bald eagle. It's the largest bird. It's at the top of the food chain. It will eat falcons, pigeons, and sometimes even other animals as big as, monkeys, uh, baby sheep. These are big, powerful birds. And they can see their prey up to 2 miles, so they got great eyesight. So what separates the eagles from the pigeons? Interest, ability. And as I talk about flock theory, that's what we're talking about. Sometimes that's what's going to separate you from the flock. That's what's going to separate you from the pack. Your interest and your ability. You see a lot of people. Some studies suggest as many as 65 to even upwards of 85% of people, they have job dissatisfaction. They spend their lives whining and complaining. They're not happy. They live below their potential. And some would say they are contently miserable or miserably content. Either way, you decide that you are going to honor your purpose. You are going to honor your inner greatness. And guess what's going to happen from the flock? When you separate, when you start to see that personal governance is going to give you a much better, greater chance of having success, of operating your purpose, of honoring your inner greatness. that group, they're going to start seeing you as somebody, oh, you snobbish. Oh, you bougie. You looking down your nose at us? Hey, we've been here since the beginning. And it's not that you're looking down at anyone. It's just that you're looking up at your own potential. So instead of trying to reach down and lower your standards so that you can stay within that flock, so that you can stay within that pack, you have to elevate. So you have to elevate your circle. You got to elevate your thoughts so that you can elevate your circumstances. Now, if somebody's happy, they're going to work, they got their 9 to 5, they happily married, doing their thing, they come home, watch their Netflix, and they're totally content. That's the life. They entitled to that. They want to spend 7-8 hours a day watching TV, keeping up with the reality TV, the ratchetry, and so on and so forth. If that brings them joy, if they enjoy spending their free time that way, then who am I to say that they're wrong for that? Because that's their life. And the way they invest their time is going to reflect on the quality of their life. And if they're happy with the quality of life, who am I to critique their lifestyle? But this is for the few to do. And that's as I'm talking about flock theory. This is not going to be for the masses. This is not going to be for the flock. This is going to be for the ego in you. This is going to be for that to see themselves in a different space, to see themselves at a different level, to see them operating at a higher capacity. That's who this is for. So, if you are asking yourself, man, what haven't I achieved that I really want to achieve? Why am I not operating in my purpose? So what are you doing today to get closer to your goals tomorrow? If you are surrounded by people that you no longer identify with in terms of interests, they may want to go hang out where you want to go to the library. They may want to turn up and you may want to have an intellectual debate. They may see that other people know what's best for them. They may think, hey man, the Republicans know what's best for us. The Democrats know what's best for us. This group knows what's best for us. That group knows what's best for us. And if that's what they believe in, that's what they should pursue. But my question is, what do you believe in? When you hear the term personal governance, what comes to mind? When you think of to govern, what do you think of? Do you think of authority? Do you think of control? So when you put those two words together, personal governance. So, if I'm an advocate of personal governance, that means, for example, if I'm overweight, which for those of you looking at this picture, you can see that I am. When I'm ready to change that situation, who's going to have the greater input on me changing my weight situation, reversing diabetes? Some group, or me taking massive consistent action, which by the way, I am taking, for those of you that's going to have your criticism, and that's fine. Anytime you put yourself up in the public, that's a risk you take of having your ideals bumped up against, having them challenged. That's great, but that creates an opportunity for growth. So as somebody who personally struggles with my weight, with being a food addict, among other things, this is why I've come to the point of personal governance. I realize that if I throw my titles in, if I throw all my support behind other groups to serve my interests, what's going to happen even if that group do get their way? If this party wins, is that going to change my life drastically? If I'm overweight and I'm sick and I'm not eating the way I'm supposed to eat and I'm not exercising the way I'm supposed to exercise, How's my life going to improve? If I neglect my health and I neglect what I need to do, how am I going to become better? If I feel that I can be a great consultant, a great public speaker, a transformational speaker, if I feel that I can impact tens of thousands, if not millions, what do I have to do to make that happen? Or do I throw my hat? Do I throw my hat in and say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna have somebody else do it. I'm gonna have somebody else advocate for me. Or I'm gonna get with the flock and say, hey, we gonna come together. We gonna argue about this. And then we got all this internal issues. They feel like we should go left. I feel like we should go right. They feel like we shouldn't move at all. There is a time where protests and actions need to be made collectively. But my argument is, often, are we doing the best that we can to improve our lot? Are you doing the best? Are you working as hard and as smart as you should be? What do you want out of life? Right now, if you only had 6 months to live, what would that 6 months look like? What would you do differently today? Because we can be here today and gone today. So why do we take our precious time and our precious life for granted? Why do we put so much time and effort into collectives that may or may not serve our interests when it's things that we could be doing for ourselves? We're in a country where opportunity, although some of them are not as available readily for some of us, especially the historically oppressed people, African Americans, Native Americans, there's still opportunity there. Now, I gotta ask you, are you going to get closer to operating in your purpose by whining or by working? And if you are being underserved, and if you are being discriminated against, which that does happen, does it serve your interest to not improve? Oh man, you know, they ain't gonna hire me anyway. Forget it. So you're not gonna develop your skills? You're not gonna polish your gift because of what they may or may not do? When life gets worse, we got a responsibility to get better. With the different platforms out here, the different technology out here, the different ways that we can leverage social media. It's other opportunities, it's new opportunities, it's things changing. So we got to decide, are we going to be workers or whiners? And we also have to change the language. There is power in language. For instance, as I've told you, my weight have went up and down. My largest weight loss had been 110 pounds. Then I fell into the pleasure trap and put the weight back on. Now there was a part of me saying, you know, I started seeing a new young lady and she was cooking all this good stuff, and I'm eating, oh man, she always cooking me this good stuff. Now if I do that, who am I blaming? It don't matter what she cooked. I ate it. That's why I got fat. That's why I put the weight back on. But I'm taking actions now, and guess what? When I take massive actions, massive consistent actions, guess who's not going to be this weight 6 months from now? I am, and I can state that. Why? Notice I didn't say, well, I'm gonna try to lose this weight 6 months from now. Because guess what? If I say try, that's what I'm gonna do. Try. So a lot of times we say, man, I'm trying to make it. But somebody once said it to me, and I remember I was offended the first time I ever heard it, but I thought about it, it made sense. They said, trying is lying. Huh? No, I'm really trying. But I thought about it. I wasn't really trying. Because I didn't try to eat all 8 of them Little Debbies. I ate them. I didn't try to eat the 3 steaks. I ate them. So now I changed my language. I say I'm working on losing weight. I'm working on making my dreams come true. I'm working towards my aspirations. I take trying out of my vocabulary. Because trying is one of them BS words. You can be, oh man, I'm trying to do better. Man, it's just hard. I be trying to do the right thing. It's a real easy thing when you say trying because it gives you so much wiggle room. It don't hold you accountable. It doesn't tap into the whole philosophy of personal governance. And it also bumps up against the concept of flock theory. Sometimes we need a pack. Sometimes we need support. But sometimes we got to step away and say, am I doing all that I can do for me? What am I going to do next year? What am I going to accomplish next year that I didn't accomplish this year? And you may say, oh man, I'm going to do this. Okay, but why are you waiting till next year? What are you doing today that's going to improve tomorrow? How are you networking? That's what's important about flock theory. If you want to elevate, you got to get in a different social circle. If the people around you are not challenging you and not honoring your greatness and not honoring your aspirations and not giving you that push, because a lot of times it's not that people are being malicious. It's not like they just being haters and they just want to hurt you. No, they don't want to lose you because you aging out. It's just like I'm a parent. When my kids grew up, as a parent, you still remember them being the little toddlers, being curious, playing around, saying the cute little things. Then all of a sudden they're young adults and they age out into their own. And now they're pursuing their own lives, starting their own families. And you don't want to lose that. And sometimes as parents, too clingy. But sometimes as groups, too clingy. People that you went to school with. People that you used to work with 10 years ago. And now some of your interests and abilities are separating you. And if you got what you consider high purpose or call of significance on your life, you can no longer afford to be that person that's in a crowded bar feeling lonely. When you look around and everybody else, they look so happy. They so happy to be here. They doing the same old thing, Friday after Friday, Saturday after Saturday, and you empty and you're not being satisfied. And you're like, why am I here? Why am I alone in the crowd? How do I get ahead of this pack? So, some actionable things that you can walk away with. Pick 2 key goals, 2 big things that's burning inside of you. 2 things that you want to improve, that you want to change. If it's your income, what is it? What's your goal? Do you want to double it? Do you want to triple it? Quadruple it? Write it down. Maybe you're in a similar situation like myself. You're dealing with that waistline. Maybe you want to reduce the size of that waistline. I was a 44 in the waist. I'm down to around 42 in the waist now. And by the end of the year, I will be down between the 36 and 34 in the waist. And I can state that because I'm actively taking massive action. I recently went out. I'm not a very fast runner, but I ran 3 miles, well, jogged. Like I said, I'm not a fast runner. Jogged 3 miles nonstop. And the other day, did 5 miles. And guess what? It's going to keep going up. And as my weight go up, my waistline will go down. As I focus on eating better, eating to live instead of living to eat, my goals will be realized. So my top 2 goals right now is reaching that 10-mile mark, and that's doing 10 miles in one session, And that's tied into, being healthier, reversing diabetes, and also actively pursuing my speaking and coaching and consulting career to the level that I know I can be successful. No longer am I going to be afraid to stick my chest out and say, hey, God gave me a gift of expression, both in speaking, writing, and even in singing. So occasionally I will pepper, when it's relevant, I will pepper even a few bars in. You have to be willing to toot your own horn sometime. And you ain't got to be excessively braggish. But if you got gifts and you got purpose, you got to pursue it. You got to honor your inner greatness. Because you're going to feel alone in that crowd. You're going to feel like you don't fit because you don't. Because your interests and your abilities are pulling you in a different direction. And it's not because you're better than anyone. It's just because you want to better yourself. And you want to bring more value to the world and to the people around you. You want to bring more security to your family and friends. So when you're the best version of yourself, think about what you can do. Think about how you can help others. Think about the other people that's operating under capacity. Flock theory. Birds of the same feather hang together. Well, maybe you done shed it. You done shedded your feathers. You're in a different level now. And now it's time for you to write down those top 2 goals and focus on them. I know some people say just focus on one goal. But I believe that we are human beings and we got the ability to focus on more than just one thing and still be good at it. Because sometimes we got so much going on that we need to be able to, for instance, what do my speaking career mean if I ain't healthy? So I can just say, hey, you know what, I'm just going to focus on my speaking. I'm just going to go hard. Speaking is the only thing that matters. Speaking is life itself. And that is my key focus. But I know that health is wealth. I'm going to repeat that. Health is wealth. WELLTH. So no career matter if I'm sick, if I'm somewhere incapacitated, and if I done had a massive stroke, if I ain't able-bodied. So health is up there. But since I don't choose to be, like a fitness instructor or something like that, I can't just say, well, I'm just going to go hard for all this. Because that's my personal thing. So that's why there. But that's tied to the professional. Because the more healthier I am, the more active I can be, the more productive I can be. I ain't around here breathing all heavy and being lethargic. I can get up early and I can operate energetically and effectively. Well, that's my time for today. Please leave your comments. Please leave your feedback. Thank you for joining JP.WATKINS on his journey for something phenomenal. Join me in my journey.